Hello, guys, and we are now with Eric Chen, founder of Injective Protocol. It's a decentralized derivatives exchange and built on Cosmos Standard Mint. Nice to meet you, Eric.
Hey, how's it going?
All is good. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you at Cosmos conference in Lisbon. And
Likewise.
now I heard you are in New York. And will be interesting to know more about your journey in crypto and about current developments of injective protocols. So can you tell us when did you discover Bitcoin first and how did you get into this crypto industry?
Yeah, basically, I tried mining Bitcoin pretty early in high school, and that was around, I forgot, like 8 or 9 years ago. And basically, I joined the crypto scene kind of like more officially in like 2017 when I was doing a lot of research on the cryptography side and contributing some dev work to open source projects, and really decided to jump into crypto full time when Juan Bennett was first starting off with a Falcon. Well, actually, he's a few years in already, but with Falcon and everything, his vision really just sold me as my foray into crypto. And before Injective, I was working at funds and I spent a lot of time on like cryptographic research and blockchain investments. And most of my time was kind of working on new trading strategies and also studying up about blockchain protocols and consensus. And yeah, before that, I was a researcher at NYU Blockchain Labs.
Interesting. And how did you decide to start your own project and start Injective Labs?
Yeah, when I was working as a trader, I noticed that there's a lot of issues with centralized exchanges. Back then, especially, right? There's a lot of operation problems, a lot of regulatory oversight, undersight, essentially, whitelisting IP and front-running transactions, false information, and hacking. So basically, it kind of became a very fundamental drive for me to work on a decentralized exchange that's highly scalable, that can serve the general masses. Because we know that that's where direction is going, right? Blockchain and the overall financial infrastructure itself is decentralized to begin with. So why are we trusting a centralized middleman for this? So I think the general paradox is that even though like the entire crypto industry supports decentralization, basically anything but the blockchain are mainly centralized. And this isn't what the users are signing up for, and this can't really meet the needs of users, right? It's one of the reasons why we decided to create Injective in around like the later half of 2018. It's so that people can access and trade in unlimited market in a completely decentralized manner. And back then DeFi wasn't really a term yet, so we kind of started this journey a while before DeFi boom really swept across the world. Yeah, so Injective is really exciting because it's one of the first cross-chain protocol for derivatives trading. And basically on Injective, anyone can access, trade, and trade any type of DeFi market, futures and perpetual, spots, anything. And later on, developers can also build dApps compatible with Ethereum and other virtual machines. And really, the draw of Injective is that it can achieve lightning speed and instant finality. So we've received amazing backing from Binance, Pantera Capital, and Mark Cuban recently. So it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah, it's also great supporters. And can you tell us how is Injective protocol is different from other existing exchanges like Uniswap, DEX, or just traditional AMM exchanges?
Yeah, I mean, like the key advantage and the key, infrastructure of Injective is the fully decentralized order book infrastructure. So it hosts, like all the make orders and all the take orders, all within the same blockchain, all on chain, without having liquidity anchored around either like a centralized relayer or having be represented in AMM, which is arguably relatively capital inefficient. And so compared to AMM, I think just in general, order book model is more suitable for non-long-tailed assets and more adaptable for institutional market makers and funds. And like Injective's decentralized order book is kind of like a fully decentralized, kind of like an on-chain order representation for anything spot and derivative related. And it has a frequent batch auction matching mechanism to make sure that everything is very, very much blockchain native, and rather instead of just trying to move everything from a centralized exchange onto a blockchain. And we also designed a lot of incentive mechanisms in the beginning for different actors on top of Injective Chain to be properly incentivized and aligned. So one of the most interesting thing is that nodes on Injective Chain can host kind of like a decentralized and censorship resistant order book, which stores and relay trading orders, and they'll earn 40% fees.
And can you tell more about your recent announcement of 120 million incentive program?
Yeah, it's called Astro Program, and it's actually extremely exciting for us because essentially, there's around 10 million INJ allocated towards the overall incentive mechanism and overall, getting new users to come on, and also incentivizing power users and incentivizing institutional users. So the first part of the trade and earn program is basically an allocation of 7 million INJ towards over 5 years towards incentivizing individual users and traders. And basically every single trading action, if it's in a qualifying market, can be entitled to part of the reward pool every week. And currently we're looking at, I believe for this current epoch, it will be 28,000 INJ to be distributed to all the users within this first week, which is ending in around 4 days. And yeah, it's really a monumental moment for us. And I think this is going to be a very, very strong kickstart for the overall Injective ecosystem, because since the initial launch of the Astro, we see volume doubling every day. So I think really it's really bringing the users on, getting them through the initial hoop, and really empowering the overall community.
Yes, it's really exciting to support your existing community and to attract new users to your exchange. And let's talk as well about your other recent announcements. Like I read that you just released the Canonical Chain mainnet, and the mainnet launch marks the beginning of a new chapter for your Injective community and the start of an extraordinary journey that will take Injective and the entire crypto industry to new heights. So what's unique about these two bridges?
Yeah, so Canonical Chain upgrade is a proposal that the community passed slightly before Astro Program. So Canonical is basically, mainnet that's all features unlocked, everything enabled, basically sending the Injective ecosystem into the wild without any type of restriction. And so basically for the past 6 months before a Canonical Chain, it's been kind of like a canary phase, where it's like a canary in a coal mine model, in a sense that users have a restricted set of access, restricted set of features that they can utilize. And the key thing for that is that obviously building a new layer 1 is fairly difficult, and there's not as much auditing solutions or just in general security research coverage on it. So launching a Canonical Chain where essentially there's a manageable honeypot for people to try to poke around with, and for the overall community to find it stable enough, is absolutely critical for the eventual Canonical launch. And obviously, one of the biggest features for Canonical launch is the integration of the Astro Program on all the on-chain logics and all the reward mechanisms and how it's calculated. And so that's why the community went around to propose all the parameters and all the reward allocation and launch Astro Programs quickly after Canonical, so that basically they can get access to everything that's going on within the decision of this incentive mechanism, and really become like a community-owned protocol.
Yes, it's really interesting. So it's basically like a DAO protocol now. And let's discuss your partnerships with other companies, and particularly you have been closely working with Band Protocol and Chainlink for Oracle integrations. And can you share the progress of these integrations and how this will change the market?
So Band is done. It's live. So the interesting thing about Band is that basically it's one of the first instances of utilizing IBC beyond just arbitrary token transfer. So it allows people to, pass through data, in this case, band price feeds onto Injective Chain as a very secure Oracle price source. And as a matter of fact, because of Band's capabilities, a very, very flexible price source, so that users can pretty much create anything, any sort of derivative market from Band. And Solstice was really, Solstice testnet was really kind of like a demonstration ground for this, because basically users get to play around with very, very interesting and very, very niche markets, and basically just kind of create a lot of different cool ideas and experiment with a lot of different, models and derivatives. I think, back then there were stock futures, there were staking derivatives, and there's also, yield farming derivatives and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the most, I would say, exciting integration in terms of opening up a lot of possibility in terms of what derivative can be made. And now it's finally coming onto production in a much more secure and decentralized way. And as for Chainlink, obviously, Chainlink is kind of name brand around Oracle, and they've been securing the highest value of protocols and assets within the current Ethereum space, technically speaking. So I'm very excited to work with them. And OCR is definitely kind of a revolution within the Chainlink's reporting model, and it saves so much gas and also makes the price feed update so much faster. So basically, the Injective community can access to one of the most secure price feeds in the space very soon.
Yeah, saving gas fees is probably one of the most important things for great user experience. And can you tell why did you decide to build exactly on Tendermint, not on any other blockchains?
So when we were picking consensus mechanisms, we wanted instant finality, low block time, and obviously it can't be UTXO based. So obviously Tendermint was the best fit. It was pretty much the only instant finality solutions out there. Other ones require at least 2 to 5 block finality. So this is why we decided to build on top of Tendermint and Cosmos. And obviously this is an order book infrastructure, so any type of potential orphan block or forks, that's certainly a pretty big issue for order book exchanges, just because it relies on the cohesiveness of the book state a lot. So yeah, it's fast, it's secure, it's decentralized, and it has an instant finality.
And do you plan to launch as well on other chains in future?
Yeah, we're planning to connect to other chains rather than launching on top of other chains, just because none of the other chains have this custom consensus around the order book infrastructure. So it's very difficult for us to kind of transpile a lot of the logics onto, let's say, EVM chain or any sort of other VM chain. So I would say bridging is a much more sensible approach. Mm-hmm. And Injective Bridge has been built to be very, very fast and very seamless in experience. Deposit and withdrawal both take under 5 minutes. So I don't see basically building on top of another protocol, rewriting the entire code base would be better than building a bridge and really connect to ecosystems.
Yeah, and you're focusing on derivative space. Why do you think derivatives are important for this crypto markets?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why derivatives are important. Basically, there's no very natural source or low cost source of leverage within the crypto space. And I think perpetual swaps and futures is kind of like a proxy for the overall margin trading experience within the traditional equities market. So I think that's why it's extremely popular, because basically people get to access this simulated leverage environment. And also, just because of the mass adoption around it, the liquidity around it, and the volume around it, it just creates kind of like a positive feedback loop for the overall kind of crypto ecosystem to really adopt perpetual swaps. And it's not just Bitcoin that adopted. Well, it's not just Bitcoin perps that are really popular. There are countless alts and countless assets that are also perps that are extremely popular.
Yeah, and you have as well your own INJ token, and it's probably the question which interests a lot of traders. And what's the use case of it, and how is it integrated into the Injective ecosystem?
I mean, it's a native token to secure the Injective chain, right? It's mainly used towards proof of stake to make sure that the chain's consensus is secure. And obviously, that's the purpose of any blockchain with their tokens. And obviously, in order to reflect the exchange value of like the value of the exchange back to the token itself, and basically reward the overall ecosystem participants for running this, exchange infrastructure. Basically, there's also like a auction and burn mechanism where basically all the fees collected on the protocol, 60% of which will undergo an auction process where users can bid with INJ. Generally, it could be validators and general holders trying to kind of bid with their staking reward, and basically that'll allow them to basically exchange the fee value, which is generally in stables, for the INJ that they bid with.
And do you plan any new listings for your token?
No.
Already on almost all top exchanges. Yeah, and you're now in the DeFi space and you're developing your decentralized exchange, but what do you sense how DEXs compete with centralized exchanges?
I think it goes both ways, right? Basically, centralized exchanges are extremely efficient and fast, and it really scales in terms of, almost like Moore's law, right? Whereas for decentralized exchange, it really scales in terms of ecosystem growth and kind of like this congregation of value and liquidity. So it's two different types of, I would say, like a growth trajectory. It's not necessarily that, it's going to have the most number of trades on, these type of DeFi ecosystems, but it may have the most value, situated or locked within decentralized exchanges.
Yeah, DEXs now seem to develop much faster and bring in much more new traders and community. And there are a lot of concerns that DeFi space may be regulated. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, we welcome regulation. I think just in general, by being fully decentralized and by being fully community owned, there's very little we can do to, force regulation upon the users, but we are going to do whatever we can and in our best effort to make sure that we comply with the local regulations.
And do you see big differences as for regulations, for example, in US or in Asia, in Europe? I know that Cosmos community is quite active in Asia, especially in Korea. So how do you see the market response?
I think generally, in the future, it's not really going to be location focused. It's going to be rather more like time zone focused. And this is kind of like the culture at Injective as well. We generally don't really know where our team member, or we don't really have always the clear idea exactly when or where our team member is, but we know what time zone they're in, and that's that's the important part. And I think generally especially in the future for the metaverse, I guess it's not about the physical location you're in. It's about how they congregate around. I guess time zone is definitely an important thing because that's people have to sleep eventually, but I think generally it's really about communities that are within a certain time zone that are aligned well, because what we notice right now is that a lot of Singaporean community members are also interacting a lot with let's say the Canadian community members or just in general, right? Basically, I would say a year or two ago, a Singaporean VC is probably not going to be going on Twitter banters all the time with a US VC, but this is what we see every day.
Yeah, and we see, especially now during this bull cycle, more and more people coming in and getting into crypto industry, but still it's not that wide adoption on a big scale. So what are your thoughts? What is needed for the wider adoption of crypto, attracting new users, traders?
No, I think like generally like crypto adoption is there. It's just that, it's more latent and implicit. Um, if you go on a subway right now, you're probably going to see some 40-year-old or like 50-year-old staring at their Coinbase app. And generally the usage and download of a lot of these financial applications with crypto focus are going up this year by a lot. So it's not that, mass adoption isn't there yet. It's just that, it's not something that we touch and feel every day. A good example would be like if you go on Twitter right now and you see like so many celebrities are all using, Bored Yacht Club NFTs. It's all, part of our lives now, where it's like kind of almost like integrated in a latent way. And that's really what's exciting, right? Like we want people to migrate to this crypto infrastructure instead of basically having to make that conscious choice of, hey, like, should I use fiat or should I use crypto? I think the future really lies, somewhere in between, where people have a blurred perception of what's in the cryptoverse and what's in the fiat verse, I guess.
And what is your opinion about NFTs, and do you own yourself any NFTs?
I think it's cool. So we're pretty strong backers of Burn Finance. So obviously they're a cross-chain NFT platform, starting off on Solana. So that's kind of our way of showing support. I don't really own any like big NFTs. I think I minted some, and that's pretty much it. We also supported like a couple of NFT projects, initiatives as well, back in the day, and I think that was quite interesting as well.
So in what way did you support some NFT projects?
Well, some guy was, it later became Burn Finance, but some guy was trying to burn a Banksy and kind of sell, basically mint it as an NFT and sell it basically as a metaverse artwork. And
Yeah, I remember
we kind of saw the idea. Yeah, we kind of saw the idea, kind of like back that initiative, chipped in on, the painting itself, helped with getting the words out. And so that was definitely a very, very interesting, I guess, social movement. And I think it kind of makes sense why the Banksy Works started taking crypto for the Sotheby's auction yesterday.
Yeah, that was a cool use case. And can you share some upcoming plans for development of Injective Labs?
I think right now it's about focusing on liquidity, basically making sure that more and more users can get on, more and more people can start joining the Astro Program, and more and more people can really enjoy the benefit of the Injective ecosystem. So that's going to be our immediate goal. And we have, a couple interesting features, tools, campaigns, that are in the works to be launched, just to, help users get on, the protocol easier, or get on, like the relayer easier. Yeah, I think that's definitely the more immediate goal. There's a lot of really interesting like mechanisms and also features that we're working on for the V2, but generally, like I'd rather have that under wraps unless we know that we're ready.
So how are you going to achieve all that and to attract more liquidity?
Sorry, what?
How are you going to achieve all that and to attract more liquidity to Injective protocol?
Yeah, I mean, that is the goal of Astro Program, right? It, first of all, for a trade and earn program, it encourages kind of new users to join a platform and to be rewarded for every single one of their activity proportional to their activity value. Like trading a certain value, or contributing a certain amount of fee to the protocol. Second part is VIP program, which really rewards a power user who contributes a lot of volume, and is an active participant within the Injective ecosystem. And 3 is DMN program, which allocates 3 million INJ towards kind of institutional market makers. So these 3 programs kind of incentivizes participants from all three sides of the table. And like that is our way of trying to solve the chicken and egg problem for liquidity.
Great. And how do you see the development of the whole DeFi space?
That's a pretty big topic. No, I think like basically a lot of stuff are going to move towards L2. It's pretty expensive to do stuff on Ethereum right now. So I think L2 is a very natural kind of like a interstate or like, inter checkpoint transaction layer. Whereas also just in general, like there's going to be more and more value locked and being deployed into decentralized finance over time. Especially, it's quite exciting because Aave just launched an institutional pool for lending, and I think that's kind of like the first type of signal or like idea around overall institutional adoption and bringing on more I would say like traditional shops into the space.
Do you think that the institutional may trade in future on your exchange?
Yeah, they've been trading.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, thank you for such a nice discussion, and it was interesting to know out about current developments of Injective Protocol, and wish you good luck.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, please check out the Astro Program and get started on Injective at hub.injective.network.
Yeah, we will leave the links under the description of the video.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.